Thank you. We are now in the second main topic, which is international strategy. Learning objectives. Number one, explain traditional and emerging motives for firms to pursue international diversification. Identify the four major benefits of an international strategy. Explore the four factors that provide a base for international business level strategies. Describe the three international corporate level strategies: multi domestic, global, and transnational. Discuss the environmental trends and affecting international strategy, especially liability of foreignness and regionalization. Name and describe the five alternative modes for entering international markets, and name and describe two major risks of international diversification. Overview: Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, reaching for global markets. The Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, a prominent Chinese automotive company, operates 50 manufacturing plants producing a wide range of vehicles and parts. Notably, successful joint ventures with General Motors and Volkswagen have driven SAIC sales in China. Analysts expressed concern about GM and VW potentially relying too much on SAIC. SAIC also owns a majority stake in Korean automaker Sangyong and intellectual property rights to Rover models. Leveraging knowledge from partnerships, SAIC ventured into producing its own brand Rover, aligning with the Chinese government's push for domestic brands. Despite being a top 3 player in China, SAIC aspires to be among the global top 10 auto competitors, aiming to enter and compete in the challenging US auto market. This goal, led by Philip Murthaugh, involves overcoming hurdles faced by the companies like Hyundai, which despite quality improvements and competitive pricing, struggled to significantly increase its US market share. SAIC's venture into US market reflects a major challenge considering the fierce competition, especially from Japanese automakers like Toyota. What is international strategy? An international strategy is a strategy through which the firm sells its goods and services outside its domestic market. Figure 8.1 provides an overview of the various choices and outcomes of strategic competitiveness. The relationships among international opportunities, the resources and capabilities that result in strategies, and the modes of entry that are based on core competences. First, identifying international opportunities, incentives to use an international strategy. IKEA, for example, has become a global brand by selling furniture in 44 countries through almost 300 stores that it owns and operates through franchises. It generated 22.2 billion in sales in 2006. All of its furniture is sold in components that can be packaged in flat packs and assembled by the consumer after purchase. This arrangement has allowed for easier shipping and handling than fully assembled units and has facilitated the development of the global brand. There are four basic benefits of international strategy. First, an increased market size. Firms can expand the size of their potential market, sometimes dramatically, by moving into international markets. Although changing consumer tastes and practices linked to their cultural values or traditions is not simple, following an international strategy is a particularly attractive option to firms competing in domestic markets that have limited growth opportunities. For example, firms in the domestic soft drink industry have been searching for growth in foreign markets for some time now. Major competitors Pepsi and Coca-Cola have had relatively stable market shares in the US market for several years. Most of their growth in sales has come from foreign markets. Pepsi has been using highly tailored soft drinks to capture more sales and profits in the Japanese market. For example, it introduced a limited run of iced cucumber and sold 4.8 million bottles of it before withdrawing it from the market. These limited edition drinks are designed for the Japanese customers. Second, return on investment. Large markets may be crucial for earning a return on significant investments such as plant and capital equipment or research and development. Therefore, most research and development incentive industries, such as electronics, are international. New products become obsolete more rapidly, and therefore investments need to be recouped more quickly. Moreover, firms' abilities to develop new technologies are expanding, and because of different patent laws across country borders, imitation by competitors is more likely. Consequently, the larger markets provided by the international expansion are particularly attractive in many industries, such as pharmaceutical firms, because they expand the opportunity for the firm to recoup significant capital investments and large-scale research and development expenditures. Third, economies of scale and learning. By expanding their markets, firms may be able to enjoy economies of scale, particularly in their manufacturing operations, to the extent that a firm can standardize its products across country borders and use the same or similar production facilities, thereby coordinating critical resource functions. It is more likely to achieve optimal economies of scale. China's decision to join the World Trade Organization has allowed car makers from other countries to enter the country and for lower tariffs to be charged. Fourth, location advantages. Firms may locate facilities in other countries to lower basic costs of the goods or services they provide. These facilities may provide easier access to lower cost labor, energy, and other natural resources. Other location advantages include access to critical supplies and to customers. Once positioned favorably with an attractive location, firms must manage their facilities effectively to gain the full benefit of a location advantage. There are two basic types of international strategy: international business level strategy. In an international business level strategy, the home country of operation is often the most important source of competitive advantage. The resources and capabilities established in the home country frequently allow the firm to pursue the strategy into markets located in the other countries. Michael Porter's model illustrated in Figure 8.2 describes the factors contributing to the advantage of the firms in a dominant global industry and associated with a specific home country or regional environment. The first dimension in Porter's model is the factors of production. This dimension refers to the inputs necessary to compete in any industry: labor, land, natural resources, capital, and infrastructure such as transportation, postal, and communication systems. The second dimension in Porter's model, demand conditions, is characterized by the nature and size of buyers' needs in the home market for the industry's goods and services. A large market segment can produce the demand necessary to create a scale-efficient facilities. Related and supporting industries are the third dimension in Porter's model. Italy has become the leader in the shoe industry because of related and supporting industries. A well-established leather processing industry provides the leather needed to construct shoes and related products. Also, many people travel to Italy to purchase leather goods, providing support in distribution. Supporting industries in leather working machinery and design services also contribute to the success in the shoe industry. In fact, the design services industry supports its own related industries such as ski boots, fashion apparel, and furniture. Firm strategy, structure, and rivalry make up the final country dimension and foster the growth of certain industries. The types of strategy, structure, and rivalry among firms vary greatly from nation to nation. The excellent technical training system in Germany fosters a strong emphasis on continuous product and processes improvements. In Japan, unusual cooperative and competitive systems have facilitated the cross-functional management of complex assembly operations. In Italy, the national pride of the country's designers has spawned more strong industries in the sports cars, fashion apparels, and furniture. International corporate level strategy. The three international corporate level strategies are multi-domestic, global, and transnational as shown in Figure 8.3. Multi-domestic strategy. A multi-domestic strategy is an international strategy in which strategic and operating decisions are decentralized to the strategic business unit in each country so as to allow the unit tailor products to the local market. With multi-domestic strategies, the country managers have the autonomy to customize the firm's products as necessary to meet the specific needs and preferences of the local customers. Global strategy. A global strategy is an international strategy through which the firm offers standardized products across country markets, with competitive strategy being dictated by the home office. The global strategy is not as responsive to local markets and is difficult to manage because of the need to coordinate strategies and operating decisions across country borders. Thus, achieving efficient operations with a global strategy requires sharing resources and facilitating coordination and cooperation across country boundaries, which in turn require centralization and headquarters control. Transnational strategy. A transnational strategy is an international strategy through which the firm seeks to achieve both global efficiency and local responsiveness. Transnational strategies are challenging to implement but are becoming increasingly necessary to compete in international markets. Environmental trends. There are two important trends: liability of foreignness. The dramatic success of Japanese firms such as Toyota and Sony in the United States and other international markets in the 1980s was a powerful jolt to U.S. managers and awakened them to the importance of international competition in markets that were rapidly becoming global markets. However, there are legitimate concerns about the relative attractiveness of global strategies, as illustrated by the experience of Walt Disney Company in opening theme parks in foreign countries. For example, Disney suffered lawsuits in France at Disneyland Paris because of the lack of fit between its transferred personnel policies and the French employees charged to enact them. Disney executives learned from this experience in building the firm's theme park in Hong Kong. Regionalization. Because a firm's location can affect its strategic competitiveness, it must decide whether to compete in all or many global markets, or to focus on a particular region or regions. In doing so, it can better understand the cultures, legal and social norms, and other factors that are important for effective competition in those markets. For example, a firm may focus on Far East markets only rather than competing simultaneously in the Middle East or in the Europe. In this way, the firm may be able not to only better understand the markets in which it competes, but also to achieve some economies. After the firm selects its international strategies and decides whether to employ them in regional or world markets, it must choose a market entry mode. Choice of international entry mode. This means of entering international markets and their characteristics are shown in Table 8.1. Each means of market entry has its advantages and disadvantages. Thus, choosing the appropriate mode or path to enter international markets affects the firm's performance in those markets. Many industrial firms begin their international expansion by exporting goods or services to other countries. Exporting does not require the expense of establishing operations in the host countries, but exporters must establish some means of marketing and distributing their products. Usually, exporting firms develop contractual agreements with host country firms. The disadvantage of exporting include the often high costs of transportation and tariffs placed on the some income goods. Furthermore, the exporter has less control over the marketing and distribution of its products in the host country and must either pay the distributor or allow the distributor to add to the price to recoup its costs and earn a profit. Firms export mostly to countries that are closest to their facilities because of the lower transportation costs and the usually greater similarity between geographic neighbors. For example, US NAFTA partners Mexico and Canada. Licensing. Licensing is an increasingly common form of organizational network, particularly among smaller firms. A licensing arrangement allows a foreign company to purchase the right to manufacture and sell the firm's products within a host country or a set of countries. The licensor is normally paid a royalty of each unit produced and sold. The licensee takes the risks and makes the monetary investments in facilities for manufacturing, marketing, and distributing the goods or services. As a result, licensing is possibly the least costly form of international expansion. Licensing also has disadvantages. For example, it gives the firm little control over the manufacture and marketing of its products in other countries. In addition, licensing provides the least potential returns because returns must be shared between the licensor and the licensee. Strategic alliances. In recent years, strategic alliances have become a popular means of international expansion. Strategic alliances allow firms to share the risks and the resources required to enter international markets. Moreover, strategic alliances can facilitate the development of new core competencies that contribute to the firm's future strategic competitiveness. However, the primary reasons for failure include incompatible partners and conflict between the partners. So, trust between the partners is very critical. Acquisitions. As free trade has continued to expand in global markets, cross-border acquisitions have also been increasingly significantly. In recent years, cross-border acquisitions have comprised more than 45% of all acquisitions completed worldwide. Thus, entry is much quicker than by other modes. For example, Walmart entered Germany and the United Kingdom by acquiring local firms. However, they can be expensive and also often require debt financing, which carries an extra cost. New wholly owned subsidiary. The establishment of a new wholly owned subsidiary is referred to as greenfield venture. The process of creating such ventures is often complex and potentially costly, but it affords maximum control to the firm and has the most potential to provide above average returns. The risks are also high because of the loss or the cost of establishing a new business operation in a new country. Strategic competitive outcomes. After its international strategy and mode of entry have been selected, the firm turns its attention to implementation issues, international diversification, and returns. International diversification is a strategy through which a firm expands the sales of its goods or services across the borders of global regions and countries into different geographic locations or markets. For instance, Toyota have found that international diversification allows it to better exploit its core competencies because sharing acknowledged resources across subsidiaries can produce synergy. International diversification and innovation. As noted in Porter's model in Figure 8.2, a nation's competitiveness depends in part on the capacity of its industry to innovate. Eventually and inevitably, competitors outperform firms that fail to innovate and improve their operations and products. Therefore, the only way to sustain a competitive advantage is to upgrade it continually. International diversification provides the potential for firms to achieve greater returns in their innovations and reduces the often substantial risks of research and development investments. Therefore, international diversification provides incentives for firms to innovate. Additionally, the firm uses its primary resources and capabilities to diversify internationally and thus earn further returns on these capabilities. Complexity of managing multinational firms. Implementing an international strategy can bring numerous benefits to firms, yet it introduces complexities and heightened uncertainty. Operating in various countries involves multiple risks, and the challenges lies in managing diverse operations effectively. Firms must strike a balance as excessive growth and diversity can lead to unmanageability, surpassing the benefits. Managers face constraints arising from operational complexity, cultural differences, and institutional systems. The example of Toyota illustrates how even high performing firms can encounter problems when overly focused on specific markets, such as North America, leading to quality issues and reduced customer satisfaction. Additional complexities in managing international operations include intense global market competition, diverse cultural environments, currency value fluctuations, and the instability of certain national governments. These factors collectively contribute to the intricate nature of navigating and succeeding in the international business landscape. Risks in an international environment. International diversification carries multiple risks. Because of these risks, international expansion is difficult to implement and manage. The chief risks are political and economic. Specific examples of political and economic risks are shown in Figure 8.4. Political risks. Political risks are risks related to instability in national governments and to war, both civil and international. Instability in a national government creates numerous problems, including economic risks and uncertainty created by government regulation, the existence of many possibly conflicting legal authorities or corruption, and the potential nationalization of private assets. Foreign firms that invest in another country may have concerns about the stability of the national government and the effects of the unrest and government instability on their investments or assets. The examples are war in Iraq and Afghanistan following the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, continual warfare between the Palestinians and Israel, potential of war between Pakistan and India, potential of integration between North and South Korea. Economic risks. Such specific examples are failure of the Argentine economy and devaluation of the peso. Challenges for China in implementing the World Trade Organization agreements, the proposed constitution, as well as entry of new countries into the European Union, strengthening the euro currency and uniting Europe more tightly with existing and new partner countries. Success of privatization and firm restructuring among Eastern Europe countries. Economic risks are interdependent with political risks. If firms cannot protect their intellectual property, they are highly unlikely to make foreign direct investments. Countries therefore need to create and sustain strong intellectual property rights and enforce them in order to attract desired foreign direct investment. Another economic risk is the security risk posed by terrorists. For instance, concerns about terrorism in Indonesia have kept firms from investing into the Indonesian economy. Although many foreign investors in the energy and mining sectors have kept their investments in Indonesia through political and economic instability, the nation needs a new investors for sustained economic growth. Indonesia has difficulty competing for investment against the comparatively faster growth in China and India, which have fewer security risks. Alright, wrapping up my segment on this topic, it's been a pleasure sharing this information with you all. Now, let's continue to the cooperative strategy with my co-presenter, Angel. Please take it from here.
Welcome to Chapter 3, Introducing Cooperative Strategy. Learning Objective Number 1. So, what is cooperative strategy? Cooperative strategy refers to a planning strategy in which two or more firms work together in order to achieve a common objectives. Two firms who share common interests, beliefs, and vision for the company's future. So, why do firms use this cooperative strategy? Cooperative strategy can offer significant advantages for companies that are lacking in particular competencies, knowledge, and or resources that enables them to secure these true links to other companies possessing complementary skills or assets that they don't have. In simple words, firms uses cooperative strategy to increase its power, connection, and most of all, to fill in the gap of their lapses. Cooperative strategy creates value for a customer, establishes a favorable position relative to competitors. Through cooperative strategy, firms can increase profits, reduce costs, shore up supply chains, reduce competition, add resources, knowledge, skills, and create other synergies. For example, one firm sells coffee products but due to trends and customers' demand, in which they want coffee flavored ice cream. So what should one firms do? They seek for a firm who is specialized with ice cream making and work with them to be able to provide the said product to its customers. Furthermore, let's go to learning objectives number 2. What is strategic alliance? Strategic alliance, also known as strategic partnership, is an arrangement between two companies to undertake a mutually beneficial project which each retains its independence. It entails well-defined goals and commitments between two parties. For example, the Philippines as part of the United Nations, we form an alliance or partnerships towards other countries. This alliance has common goals, that is to maintain peace in their sovereignty and be at each other's back in times of crisis. There are three types of strategic alliances. These are joint venture, equity strategic alliance, and non-equity strategic alliance. So what is joint venture? A joint venture is a business arrangement in which two or more parties collaborate and agree to pool their resources for the purpose of accomplishing a specific task or a particular project. This task can be a new project or any other business activity. Each of the participants in a JV is responsible for profits, losses, and costs associated with it. The joint venture is a legal entity separate from the company's other business interest. Example, Juan and Pablo company collaborate with each other to work on a housing development. They start a project this month with a 50-50 share. Unfortunately, Typhoon hit the country and it caused too much destruction to the housing project. In this case, both parties have an equal share of responsibilities along with its losses and costs to regain back the project. In addition, if two companies form a joint venture to work on a housing development, their other projects and properties are not involved. In fact, Managers or participating companies should clearly define how their joint venture will work and what each will contribute to avoid serious and legal casualties or problems. What is equity strategic alliance? An equity strategic alliance is created when one company purchases a certain percentage of equity from another company. This is also referred to as a partial acquisition. If each business purchases equity in the other, this is called cross-equity transaction. One example of an equity strategic alliance is Panasonic and Tesla. It began when Panasonic invested $30 million to accelerate battery technology for electric vehicles. This partnership eventually grew to include building a lithium-ion battery plant in the state of Nevada. What is non-equity strategic alliance? In a non-equity strategic alliance, two companies sign a contract agreeing to pool resources, decision-making, and core capabilities without forming a separate joint venture or purchasing equity. In this case, the form alliances are more informal, where the partnering firms share the benefits of the alliance between themselves. Typically, companies form a non-equity strategic alliance to strengthen their value propositions or to cater to more potential customers. A common example of a non-strategic alliance is a partnership between McDonald's and Coca-Cola. McDonald's offer Coca-Cola beverages with their meats, which enhances their value proposition. At the same time, Coca-Cola is able to cater to more customers in the market. There are three cycle markets. First, slow cycle markets. These markets, firms' competitive advantages are shielded from imitation for relatively long periods of time, and where imitation is costly. These markets are close to monopolistic conditions. Railroads and historically telecommunications, utilities, financial services, and steel manufacturers are industries characterized as low cycle markets. Low cycle markets are becoming rare due to privatization of industries and economies, rapid expansion of the internet's capabilities, quick dissemination of information, speed with which advancing technologies permit imitation of even complex products. The second cycle markets is the fast cycle markets. It is hyper competitive, unstable, unpredictable, and complex. The firm's competitive advantages are not shielded from imitation, preventing them to have long-term sustainability. These conditions virtually preclude establishing long-lasting competitive advantages, forcing firms to constantly seek sources of new competitive advantages while creating value by using current ones. Alliances between firms with current excess resources and capabilities and those with promising capabilities help companies compete in a fast cycle markets to effectively transition from the present to the future and to gain rapid entry into new markets. The third cycle markets is the standard cycle markets. Competitive advantages are moderately shielded from imitation in these markets, typically allowing them to be sustained for a longer period of time than in a fast cycle market situations, but for a shorter period of time than in a slow cycle markets. Alliances are more likely to be made by partners to have complementary resources and capabilities. Example, the airline alliances provide opportunities to reduce costs and have access to additional international routes. Learning objective number 3. What is business level strategy? Business level strategy is a sum of the strategic planning and implementation activities that set and steer the direction of an individual business unit. These activities will generally include how to gain a competitive advantage and create customers' value in the specific market the business unit operates in. It also involves making critical choices about how to allocate resources, differentiate offerings, and create unique value for customers. What are complementary alliances? Complementary alliances are formed when the assets contributed by the partner firms are different in nature. Despite the apparent advantages of strategic alliances, their value is less appealing to corporations with proprietary technology. strategic cost advantage, and high market share. For example, the Uber and Spotify. Uber's partnership with Spotify lets Uber riders easily stream their Spotify playlists whenever they take a ride. This makes the Uber experience feel more personalized and encourages Uber riders to subscribe to Spotify Premium. There are two types of complementary alliances. The first one is the vertical complementary strategic alliances. A vertical strategic alliance, or aka vertical complementary strategic alliance, is a voluntary strategic partnership in which firms share certain types of resources and capabilities from different parts of the supply chain, not to confuse with a value chain. For example, an ink manufacturing company makes a strategic alliance with a pigment manufacturer so that the company would have a consistent supply of raw material pigments. One is horizontal complementary alliances. A horizontal strategic alliance, aka horizontal complementary strategic alliance, is a strategic partnership in which firms share certain types of resources and capabilities from the same parts of the supply chain. For example, the Strategic Business Partnership Alliance between Nissan and Renault. It is a very good example of a horizontal strategic alliance. This helped both companies to limit their research and development cost, rationalize the logistic cost, and achieve economies of scale through bulk production. What is a competitive response strategy? A competitive response is a move that is taken to counter the effects of a competitor's action. Thus, companies considering making a competitive move should recognize the potential that competitors will respond. It is also a type of competitive action carried out by a firm in a direct or indirect reaction to an initial action from a rival firm. For example, the Jollibee and the McDo, the Coca-Cola and the Pepsi. Let us move forward to uncertainty response strategy. Uncertainty reducing strategy is a business level cooperative strategy that firms use when there is too much risk and uncertainty in the market. In short, a firm cooperates with others so they can better cope with risk and uncertainty. For example, when entering new product markets, emerging economies, and establishing technology standards, these are unknown areas, so by partnering with a firm in the respective industry, a firm's uncertainty is reduced. Competition reducing strategy. A competition reducing strategy is a business level cooperative strategy that firms use when they need to reduce competition in the market. It is best to note that any strategy focusing on trying to reduce competition may face investigation from governments. The next one is collusive strategy. Collusion is a non-competitive, secret, and sometimes illegal agreement between rivals which attempts to disrupt the market's equilibrium. It is the act of collusion involves people or companies which would typically compete against one another, but who conspire to work together to gain an unfair market advantage. Collusion is a cooperative strategy that implies cheating other parties. There are two types of collusion strategy. The first one is the explicit collusion. Explicit collusion is where a group of firms directly communicate with each other, usually with the intention of coordinating or monitoring their actions to raise profits above competitive levels. This is prohibited in the U.S. Sherman Act. The second one is tacit collusion. Tacit collusion is a type of collusive behavior where firms coordinate their actions without explicitly communicating or reaching an agreement. Instead, firms may signal their intentions through various actions, such as pricing behavior or output levels, in order to coordinate their behavior and achieve higher profits. Tacit collusion can involve price wars on the equilibrium path. Explicit collusion involves firms secretly sharing their private information to avoid such price wars, but this is illegal and runs the risk of sanctions. Now let us go to learning objectives number 4. What is corporate level cooperative strategy? A corporate level cooperative strategy is a strategy that affects a firm at corporate level. Usually, the use of corporate level in the context means ways to help firms expand their operations by selecting the right portfolio of markets for themselves. The main reason firms use a corporate level cooperative strategy is to expand their operation. They can do this by facilitating product and market diversification. Thus, firms can use current products for a new market, create new products for current markets, and create new products for new markets. So, what is diversifying alliances? The diversifying strategic alliance is a corporate level cooperative strategy in which firms share some of their resources and capabilities to diversify into new product or market areas. It allows a firm to expand into new product or market areas without completing a merger or acquisition. It provides some of the potential synergistic benefits of a merger or acquisition, but with less risk and greater levels of flexibility. It permits a test of whether the future merger between the partners would benefit both parties. So, what is synergy alliances? Synergy alliances is a strategy in which firms share some of their resources to create of scope. Similar to the business level horizontal complementary strategic alliance, synergistic strategic alliances create synergy across multiple functions or multiple businesses between partner firms. Let's go to franchising strategy. A franchising strategy is a corporate level cooperative strategy in which firms enter a contractual relationship to share their resources and capabilities with partners. The initial firms with resources are the franchisor. The firms receiving resources are the franchisees. Franchise, a contractual agreement between two legally independent companies whereby the franchisor grants the right to the franchisee to sell the franchisor's product or do business under its trademarks in a given location for a specific period of time. Learning objective number 5, international cooperative strategy or cross-border. An international cooperative strategy is a cooperative strategy in which a firm located in one country cooperates with a firm located in a different country. Cross-border strategic alliance, it is an international cooperative strategy in which firms with headquarters in different nations combine some of their resources and capabilities to create a competitive advantage. These alliances are sometimes formed instead of mergers and acquisitions, which can be riskier. Cross-border alliances can be complex and hard to manage. The ICA's main objective is to promote the world cooperative movement, to promote and protect cooperative values and principles, to facilitate the development of economic and other mutually beneficial relations between its members of the organization. Now, let's go to network cooperative strategy. Network cooperative strategy is a strategy where multiple firms work together to achieve shared objectives through multiple partnerships. Cooperative strategies are formed to create more business value for all participating firms as well as for customers and other stakeholders. Let's go to Alliance Network. An alliance network is a group of companies that collaborate to achieve a common strategic objective, such as entering a new market, developing a new market, or sharing resources and knowledge. One important advantage of a strategic alliance network is that firms can have access to the partners of their partners. Thus, having this extensive collaboration increases the likelihood that firms can maintain and develop competitive advantages. That is, the operation of the strategic network may be able to provide partners with value that is difficult for competitors to imitate. There are two types of alliance network. The first one is the stable alliance network. A stable alliance network is a strategic alliance network formed in a mature industry where demand is stable, constant, and predictable. The purpose of this network is mainly to extend the firm's competitive advantage. They do this by exploiting the economies of scale and economies of scope that exist between partners. The second one is the dynamic alliance network. A dynamic alliance network is a strategic alliance network formed in an industry in which there are frequent product innovations and short product life cycles. The purpose of this network is to create new competitive advantage. Firms joining the alliance do this by exploring possibilities that may lead to product innovations or entries to new markets.
Learning objectives number 6. Explain cooperative strategy risk. First, partners may choose to act opportunistically. Second, partner competencies may be misrepresented. Third, partner may fail to make available the complementary resources and capabilities that were committed. Fourth, one partner may make investments specific to the alliance while the other partner may not.
7. Define two approaches used to manage cooperative strategy. The two primary approaches are cost minimization, which is the relationship with partners is formalized with contracts. Contracts that specify how cooperative strategy is to be monitored and how partner behavior is to be controlled. The goal is to minimize costs and prevent opportunistic behaviors by partners. Cost of monitoring cooperative strategy are greater. Formalities tend to stifle partner efforts to gain maximum value from their participation. Opportunity maximization. It focuses on maximizing partnerships' value creation opportunities. Informal relationships and fewer constraints allow partners to take advantage of unexpected opportunities, learn from each other, explore additional marketplace possibilities, and partners need a high level of trust that each party will act in the partnership's best interest, which is more difficult to achieve in international situations.
In summary, strategic formulation deals with corporate level strategy, international strategy, and cooperative strategy. Corporate level strategy involves decisions about the overall scope and the direction of the company. It focuses on how a firm can gain a competitive advantage across its various business units. Companies often pursue diversification, expanding into different markets or industries to reduce capitalize on synergies. Integration strategies, either vertical or horizontal, are common approaches to enhance competitiveness. Successful corporate level strategy aligns the organization's strengths with market opportunities, fostering sustained growth and profitability. On the other hand, international strategy and strategic formulation involves a company's plan to expand its operations beyond domestic borders. This often includes entering new markets, adapting products to suit diverse cultures, and navigating global competition. Companies may choose between various international strategies, such as global standardization or localization, depending on their goals and the nature of the industry. In simple terms, international strategy is pivotal for businesses aiming to thrive in a globalized economy.
To add on, cooperative strategy allows companies to access complementary assets, share risk, capitalize on synergies that may not achievable independently. This strategy encompasses various forms of partnership, including strategic alliances. And as it discussed, strategic alliances is an arrangement between two companies to undertake a mutually beneficial project while each retain its independence. And there are three types of strategic alliances, and these are the joint venture, equity strategic alliances, non-equity strategic alliances. These kind of alliances help the business by sharing resources and expertise, new market penetration, expanded production, and drive innovation. Successful cooperative strategy implementation requires effective communication, trust building, and a shared vision among partnering organizations. Clear governance structure and mechanism for conflict resolution are essential to ensure the longevity and effectiveness of collaborative ventures. To sum up everything that we have been stated so far, corporate level strategy, international strategy, and cooperative strategy weave together to shape the destiny of companies. A well crafted corporate level strategy sets the overarching direction, international strategy extends the organization's reach into global markets, and cooperative strategy allows for agile responses to complex challenges. The synergies among these strategic imperatives amplifies an organization's ability to navigate the complexities of the modern business environment. Embracing these dimensions not as isolated endeavors, but as interconnected facets of a comprehensive strategic framework positions organizations to not only survive but thrive in an ever evolving global marketplace.